in the process of making a few changes in our home. Mostly just decor type things. I have recently got the bug to do a little bit of decorating and redoing, and the furniture that we had in our bedroom was the same furniture that we got when we very first got married, and so I was ready to switch it out. Now, we've been married for almost 12 years, and so clearly I don't switch things out often, and so I went on Pinterest and I started searching traditional bedrooms and pinning things that I liked, and then looking for the things that I saw on there that I liked on Marketplace, antique stores, and I'm just starting to piece this all together. And so you guys can see I went with a poster bed, and I also got this a beautiful wardrobe at a local antique store, and I really love it. And so we're not done in here. I still have a few more pieces that I know I want to get. One of those is definitely nightstands. Like a dummy, I went and sold all of our furniture well before I found the new things. I don't really know why. I just kind of thought that I would find things quicker than what I am. And so we've been living with clothes like on the ground, and you know, phone chargers and baby monitors on the ground because I don't have a nightstand. And so this is super exciting to be able to organize all of our clothes inside of this wardrobe and being able to put things in baskets and just be organized again. And I just love this piece. Honestly, when I very first saw it at Marketplace, I thought I would remove that little top piece. It has a removable crown, but then I find that I just really like it. And so I'm keeping it there. I got some new bedding for our bed, and I'm just starting to really love this space. Now, another space I've been working on in my home is this little corner here in our living room. When I was at this same antique store that I got the wardrobe from, I found this mirror, and I think it just goes perfectly in this spot. I want to thank Element for sponsoring today's video. Element is an electrolyte drink with everything you need and nothing you don't. Element is formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited for those who are following a keto, low carb, or a paleo diet. I love that Element doesn't have any extra junk in it. It is dye-free, sugar-free, filler-free, gluten-free, all the good stuff. And I'm excited to tell you guys about a few new flavors that I recently tried. I don't know if they're actually new, but they're new to me. And so I just got this chocolate medley, and in it has chocolate mint, chocolate chai, and chocolate raspberry. And I have been enjoying my Element drinks hot with steamed milk and basically making like a hot chocolate with it. So I steam my milk, add a packet, and I only use half of a packet. It is so good. And then my husband has been putting it into his coffee. So if you are a coffee drinker, or if you are like me and you just like really warm, hot, cozy drinks during the winter time, this is a really good option to get your electrolyte needs met every day by adding one of these chocolate medleys to your milk or coffee or whatever you like to drink. So if you are ready to try out Element, right now Element is offering my subscribers a free sample pack with any order. That is 8 single serving sample packs. So that's a great way to try all of the different Element flavors, because they don't just have the chocolate flavors, they also have grapefruit, raspberry, watermelon, citrus lime. They have a bunch of different flavors. And so that's a great way to try the different flavors so you can decide which one you like best, or also a great way to share Element with a friend. So if you are ready to try it out, you can use my link in the description box below, or you can go to drinkelement.com/ouroilyhouse. That's DRINKLMNT.com/ouroilyhouse. As a homemaker, I spend, I want to say like 120% of my day in the kitchen, but I guess it's not quite that much. But I spend a lot of time in the kitchen preparing meals for my family, and I like to try to cook most things from scratch. Honestly, it's cheaper that way, healthier that way. It's just the way that I like to do it. And I've learned a lot over the years of cooking this way. In this clip right here where I'm cooking, I'm actually talking to my youngest sister. I'm one of 4 girls, and my youngest sister was here on this day when I'm filming this, and she kept noticing like certain things I was doing. She's like, oh, I didn't even know you could do that, or I didn't know how to make this, or how do you not look at a recipe? She was just making comments, and we're 9 years apart, and so obviously I've been doing this a lot longer than her. She's been married just for a couple of years. I've been married for almost 12 years, and so I got a good decade on her of learning to cook from scratch. And honestly, that is just how you learn. It's just being in the kitchen. I've made lots of meals. My poor husband, where he's probably like, all right, what's this? And now I make things where he's like, wow, it feels like we're at a restaurant. Not that every meal's delicious and grand or great, but you just learn a lot from being in the kitchen and doing it. And so if you're a new wife or mother or homemaker or trying to learn to cook, just stick with it, follow some recipes, and then eventually you'll get the hang of it and start making up your own recipes and just kind of cooking as you go, which is typically what I end up doing. I'm making a cranberry sauce to go with this meal. This is the only time of year we can get cranberries in the area where I live. Everyone in my family loves cranberry sauce, and so I've been trying to remember to make it at a lot of meals just because this is the time of year to do it. And it's just so good with anything with meat, or at least that's how I love it. Just anything where there's meat involved, cranberry sauce is so good. I'm adding the cauliflower to my mashed potatoes because I found a bag like way back in my freezer, and I don't know how long it's been in there. I'm afraid it's gonna like go bad if I didn't use it, so I just poured it into the mashed potatoes. Nobody even noticed that they were any different, and so good way to use up cauliflower and a way to add some more vegetables into your meal. All right, so while I make this next meal, which this meal was so good, definitely something that my family all loves. It was sweet chili chicken with some fried rice. Now, typically, if I was making fried rice, I would add in some carrots and maybe celery even, but I did not have any of that, so I just made do with what I had. That's another thing that you learn to do after being in the kitchen a lot, is you just kind of go with the flow and learn to adjust recipes or meals even with what you have in your home, and you can still make them really delicious even if you're missing a few things. But while I cook this, I want to share our exciting news with you, and that is that I am pregnant with our 7th baby. And so many of you guys have already been asking about this. It's kind of funny because I have been getting comments on my videos for weeks now with people asking if I was pregnant or noticing a baby bump, and I realize now it's a little bit obvious. It was probably obvious then. I'm just not that brave. Unless you are 45 weeks pregnant, I do not ask because I am so afraid that I'm gonna ask somebody and they're gonna be like, no, and oh man, that would be so embarrassing. Honestly, when people started messaging me and asking me if I was pregnant, I was like, do I really look any different? I feel like this is how I've looked since having my last baby, but you guys all were on it and you knew it. So at the time of this video, when you guys are watching this, I'm just a little bit over 20 weeks. So clearly now there's no more hiding this baby bump. Not that I'm really even trying to hide it. I just haven't been ready to fully announce it yet. And so here we are into the second trimester, which is, like most women, my favorite trimester. I've had very different first trimesters with all of my kids. I've had some really, really bad ones, and I've had some really good ones. I would say this pregnancy was kind of right in the middle. I definitely felt very nauseous, didn't want to eat all the food that I prepared. I would make food for my family, then go sit in another room and eat something really bland and not be able to smell, you know, the things that we're eating. Very tired, lack of motivation, all that fun first trimester stuff. But thankfully that all ended around 14 weeks this time. And so I've been feeling really well for a while now. And if it's like all of my other pregnancies, I'll feel great until the end. I don't really have any other complications. Not that morning sickness is necessarily a complication, just a very normal part of pregnancy. Nothing else really to complain about with all of my other pregnancies. And I realize this one could be different, but typically that's how it goes for me. So hopefully it'll be smooth sailing from here. My due date is in June, the beginning of June actually. And so, yeah, you'll be watching my belly grow and eventually having a baby strapped to me 24/7 again, just like it was. Let's see, my current baby will be 2 just a couple months after this baby is born. And so anyway, we're really, really excited to be welcoming another little baby into our family. So I just wanted to share that exciting news with the world, since so many of you have been following me for a long time, and I know that y'all have been noticing and wondering. So I just wanted to clear it up and let you all know that you are correct and that there is another baby on the way. For this next meal, I actually started it the day before because I am making some sourdough brioche bread to go along with the meal that I am making tomorrow. And sourdough is actually rather easy once you get the hang of it. Not even really get the hang of it. It's just pretty simple to do. But it's one of those things where you have to prepare for it, because if you want to long ferment your dough, which typically I do, try to long ferment everything, you have to start well in advance, because like right now, I'm mixing all of my ingredients together for this. I'm actually not going to be like baking it inside of my bread machine here. I'm just using this as the mixer. So I'm adding all of my ingredients in, and I will knead it and then let it rise overnight, and then I'm gonna have to shape it all in the morning and then let it rise again before I bake it. And so the biggest thing with sourdough is just getting started, you know, like well before you actually want to have it. You just have to kind of like prepare a little ahead. But other than that, it's just as easy as following a pretty simple recipe. And then anytime I use my starter, I like to just refeed it, put it on the counter and let it get all bubbly so that it's ready for the next time that I want to use it. A friend of mine recently asked for some starter, and I gave her a little jar of it. And when I was handing it to her, I'm like, hey, this has been a starter that is more than 10 years old at this point. So this one was actually started by my sister, and she gave me some. Now at this point, my other sisters have some, my mom has some, so we have this starter all over, and it has been alive for over a decade at this point. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I know that's probably right, because I know I started making sourdough when I first got married, and so this is like a decade-old starter that we have, and I love knowing that my sisters and my mom have some of it too. In case something were to happen to it, I could get more. If you are interested in sourdough or you're ever looking for the different recipes that I'm making on here, just go to my sister's blog. She's farmhouseonboone.com. Everything that I make sourdough comes from her blog, and so you can just search it up there. She has literally everything sourdough you can possibly think of on her blog, and sometimes I'll just go on there and like search around and see something that I'm like, oh, that looks good, and then get it started. But once you get going, like I said, it's easy to do it, and it's just so good, and it's really fun. I love having fresh bread on the table. It really makes me feel like a real deal homemaker, you know, having fresh bread on the table for my family. I get a lot of questions about cast iron because that's what I use in most all of my cooking, and or Dutch oven, which is still made out of cast iron. I find that cooking with it is just my favorite way to cook, and it's also my favorite type of dishes to clean. They're just so easy to maintain, and the best thing is that the more you use them, the easier and better they get, and so the more like non-stick they become the more that you use them. And so we use them basically every single day. Not basically, we use them every single day, and so they're well seasoned. I don't actually go and like re-season them. I think just from cooking on them all the time, they kind of season themselves. And the biggest tip to cooking with cast iron is to make sure that your skillet is nice and hot before you use it, and to use a lot of fat in there or oil whenever you cook, and that'll make it very non-stick. If you are ever interested in my different cooking recipes, we do have a blog, castironsskilletcooking.com. I will link that down below, and a lot of our recipes are on there, along with teaching you how to take care of your cast iron skillets and maintaining them and all that fun stuff. So I will link that blog down below for you. My family always prefers roasted vegetables over steamed vegetables, and so I typically do them separately instead of putting them in with the roast. I just make a pan of separate ones and roast them in the oven. At this point, my roast is just about done, so I'm gonna pull it up and turn my oven up to bake my bread and also to roast my vegetables, and then this meal will be just about done. Adding an egg wash to your bread is not necessary. It just makes it look really pretty and gives it that crusty golden brown top. And so I think it's totally worth adding it in. But if you're trying to cut corners or make it just a little bit easier, that's not something that you absolutely have to do in order to make bread. But like I said, it just makes it way more tasty. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. I get out a new video every week. Typically in the videos, you will see me cooking lots of different meals from scratch. So if you're looking for some meal inspiration, this is definitely the channel to come to.